Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webcast, Extending Microsoft PPM into a Unified Work Management Platform. My name is Mike Otranto, and I'm a Strategic Account Specialist at Wickersofts. I'm also joined on today's webcast with Jim Patterson, who leads in a business development role, and Matt Wiley, a product specialist. The line will not be open for questions, but feel free to email us directly, and we'll be happy to answer your questions that way. We'll be including our contact information at the end of the webinar. If for some reason you get distracted or pulled away during the webinar, no need to worry. I will be emailing the recording and the slide deck of today's presentation. I will now hand off the webcast to Jim Patterson. Jim?
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate the introduction. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for carving out a little bit of time for us today for this presentation of Extending Microsoft PPM for Unified Work Management. So today, some of the topics we'll cover, some of the challenges that are being faced by organizations today that are driving the need for this unified work management topic. We'll then talk about some unified work management concepts, and then we'll talk about Wickersofts One Connect platform that brings disparate tools together and to work in concert more seamlessly. We'll then talk about different use cases that we have with different tool sets and different topics. And then we'll do live demonstration to show you the capabilities of these solutions in action and how they can be set up. Then we'll finish up with some summary and some next steps, and we'll have some special offers for you for attending this presentation. So with that, let's get started. So let's talk about some of the challenges that we're addressing. And very common in a lot of the things that we're offering these days is really about the exponential rise of technology today in all marketplaces. The fact that more traditional brick and mortar and even low-tech companies have become, in essence, software companies in reality is breeding the need for a lot more different approaches and tools and processes for how we bring things to market and to our customer base. The old traditional department stores have been replaced by the online vendors like Amazon. The blockbuster videos that we used to do have been replaced by streaming services like Netflix, etc. Even transportation has been set on its ear by things like Uber and Lyft and other app-driven types of transportation options. Even getting things as simply as our soft drinks in fast food restaurants has become a more computerized experience and software-driven. The idea here is it's driving the need for different approaches. It's actually making available and promoting the use of a variety of different cloud-based tools for different types of work that people have access to that they never really had access to before. And it actually changes the nature of the work for all roles in the organization. The executives that have to be on top of strategy and how to take advantage of this digital transformation era to bring more and better offerings to the customer base based upon competition and what the market is demanding. The PMOs who have to drive a number of different diverse project types now in technology and new product development on top of other types of traditional projects, and it makes the need more complex. The software development organizations that have to be responsive and get things out the door in a quality fashion, but have a good time to market. And then once we put out these technology products, how do we support them and get the knowledge transfer so that our customers have the experience that we're looking for? The idea is it's all encompassing and it impacts everywhere in our organization and our customer base. On top of that, because of this rise in technology, people are no longer just doing traditional waterfall type projects. And the rise of Agile use or some form of Agile is really growing phenomenally. Version 1, who does an annual State of Agile survey, just finished their 12th one and published it. And in it, it said that 97% of organizations surveyed are using Agile or practicing Agile somewhere within their organization. That doesn't mean across the board adoption, but means that there's a need for it at least someplace on some projects or efforts within the organization by some teams. That being said, we have to address it because it is so prevalent and becoming so ubiquitous. What that's driving is a lot of disconnected systems and processes. So as teams that did traditional project management in these silos, we're looking at things like Microsoft Project or that use SharePoint or a myriad of lighter weight scheduling tools that might be out there and available in the marketplace today for more traditional project management. On the application management side of things, with software development happens, they're using tools that are maybe developed and more conducive to the agile approaches that are out there. And things like Visual Studio or Visual Studio Team Services, JIRA, version 1, just to name a few. There's a myriad of them out there that teams may independently start using to do the actual detailed execution. And then there's ad hoc work. There's the service management pieces, the things that we can't predict or plan on, incidents and problems and change requests, things that come in from things like ServiceNow and other IT or other service management types of systems. When we look at this, we have not only disconnected data, meaning there are different tools and databases and files around the organization, even Excel spreadsheets. Users sometimes have to monitor all these spreadsheets and tools to get a complete picture of what it is that they're being asked to do, and let alone knowing how to prioritize and what's most important to the organization if we have competing interests for our time with the things that we've been given. So the idea is it can create a chaotic situation for organizations and a lot of manual effort to reconcile it. So if we look at this and extend to more unified work management concepts that deal with that, it compounds because work management really is a different set of hierarchical stratas. If we look at the strategies that senior management puts in place, our strategic plans, more enterprise architectures from a technology perspective, innovation and ideation processes, a new product development process with the decision making of what it is that we're going to pursue, performance plans and budgets for the business so that we meet our goals from a KPI and a financial basis. Those strategies get put in place by leadership, and then they spawn off programs and projects and portfolios that meet those. So to support those strategies, objectives and initiatives and different service offerings and applications are developed, and Lean Six Sigma and more quality types of approaches are taken. And the idea there is that they should support, ideally, the strategies from up above directly, and that we should be working on things that support those strategies. And then ultimately, those initiatives or those programs or portfolio items need to get broken down into an execution level, whether they be traditional IT projects, more customer-facing billable projects, application development, software development, or application maintenance, responding to service quests, even lower level to-dos really all make up the diversity of work items that we might get at that work execution and collaboration levels. So the idea is the evolution of project portfolio management starts needing to take into account overall enterprise work management if we're going to make commitments based upon what our resources have the ability or the capacity to deliver. And if we look at this from a kind of a sample enterprise work management lifecycle approach, up at the portfolio level, a portfolio management solution should be put in place if you want to get a holistic view of all the portfolio of work that's being done within an organization. And to that end, Microsoft Project Online in the Microsoft Cloud has been designed to do that and does a very nice job end-to-end of doing the portfolio management capabilities. If we look in the upper left of this diagram, executives, put guidance in place for the direction of the organization, and they start the planning cycle with some high-level enterprise modeling of what it is they want to accomplish and the defined financial and operational objectives and targets that they want the organization to meet. And from a feasibility perspective, that drills down to the execution level, where teams or subject matter experts who have the knowledge of what it will take to do the things that management would like to accomplish, they have to determine feasibility and also what it will take from a quantity perspective at an execution level, how long it will take and what it will cost to make those things happen. Now at the execution level, this is where these teams are using a variety of different tools, and just an example of some of them, they might be using Project, Office 365 Planner, task management, things like Wunderlist or Visual Studio or JIRA for Agile types of projects, or version 1. And this is just a subset of the kind of things that might be used. And then the detailed planning information to support those higher level goals then get reviewed, finalized, consolidated, and people choose and select what are the things we actually will work on. And that becomes part of our active portfolio that we manage. And then they get executed on, more than likely in the tools that they were planned in earlier on. So this is just a typical, though not an all-encompassing model of what happens in organizations today. Now the Gartner Group, saw that You know, you have to provide the right tools for the job. There was a time where the thinking was that these large monolithic ERP systems would handle everything, and that we'd have these huge all-encompassing solutions that would manage all aspects of our business. And it turns out that Gartner really determined that that was not the case. And from a portfolio management perspective, there's an audience for that. The folks that do portfolio management are interested in creating, having decision frameworks and selecting projects based upon those frameworks, and then planning the delivery and tracking investments at a high level. So the things that we approve and that we fund, are they tracking and are they going to deliver as expected from a schedule, content, and a cost perspective? Down at the execution level, that's where this separates into this myriad of tools, and in a lot of organizations, a lot more tools than I'm just showing here. And these folks that use these are interested in project and resource management at a more tactical level, and they want to be able to use it to help them execute well and communicate progress and expenditures back to business sponsors and management. Now, without an integrated or unified solution, that's often a manual mashup of data from all these disparate tools into some common picture that needs to be provided at the portfolio, if that holistic portfolio is even reported on in total at all. So with that in mind, let's talk about Wickersofts One Connect. With that, Wickersofts One Connect is an integration platform in the Microsoft Cloud that we've developed. And if you think about Project Online being the center of the universe from a portfolio management perspective, it connects with productized connectors in lieu of having to do custom connectors that you have to develop, maintain, and then stay on top of changing technology and APIs. If you look in the upper left, we have connectors for the more common JIRA, software development or Agile tools, financial management for financial information for things like Oracle, SAP, PeopleSoft, etc. The traditional work management things that might happen in SharePoint or Office 365 Planner. The service management pieces like ServiceNow or Microsoft Dynamics or Salesforce's Service Cloud. And then even CRM systems that can feed into and have things that become contracts that become projects for customer-facing projects and integrate with those things from a Salesforce or a Microsoft Dynamics CRM perspective. And this is just a subset of the things that we're working on. We have new tools that are coming online into our library of productized connectors all the time. The idea is that this is the conduit or the enabling technology that allows these things to work together. So let's talk about some of the use cases for that. If we think about just the unified work management component for project management, if we look at the blue bar across the top, that really signifies the end-to-end capabilities of Project Online, from demand management and intake all the way through the portfolio management, execution, and reporting around all that. Project Online ends up being the hub for all of that portfolio information. Our OneConnect platform then connects different components to that. Now, if you go down the left-hand side, traditionally, the Waterfall projects are handled very nicely natively by Project Online, with Microsoft Project on the desktop or Project Web Access for their online planning capabilities. All you need is in there natively without any connection to OneConnect at all. Recently, in recent months, Microsoft has added some basic rudimentary Agile type of capabilities for doing Scrum or Kanban type of flow projects within that. And we'll talk about some of that as well. But down the middle with the Agile, a lot of folks, even prior to Microsoft adding that in Project to some degree, there are tools that have been out there specifically designed to deal with software development and Agile approaches, and some of them scaled Agile approaches. And the idea is that many of them, like Visual Studio, are tied to code repositories where the actual code is being managed for software development. And OneConnect seamlessly connects those tools and provides the relevant data to Project Online so that the updates to the portfolio from these tactical level plans are happening automatically with no unnatural action by the actual users of those tools. And then lower level to-dos or lighter weight projects can be handled in things like Wunderlist or Office 365 Planner. And the idea is that the ability to integrate those things for people that don't have needs for robust scheduling tools, but have things that they need to track and communicate status on, those are viable tools in this unified work management landscape. So if we think about some of the use cases of what's available, Microsoft Project Professional offered in recent months a native integration to Office 365 Planner. Now, what's native in there is a little different than what we're offering with OneConnect, and we'll talk about the difference there. As you're building your Microsoft project plans and your schedule items, you can have tasks that are built down to a level of detail that's appropriate for managing or reporting on the project progress. We can often, in some areas, get down to levels of detail like to-dos or punch list items that tasks need to go through, if you think about them as sub-tasks to the tasks in your project schedule that you may want to track as more to-do level or activity level items. You can actually break those out into Office 365 Planner to manage and track those and have them linked to that specific task in Microsoft Project Online. So as opposed to managing the entire project in Office 365 Planner, you can manage the more tactical sub-level details in there using the Microsoft Office 365 Planner connection to Office to Microsoft Project. Now with OneConnect, Wickersoft offers another alternative. If we think about Project Online being the portfolio and having all of your projects and work efforts listed within that portfolio, some of them may have their scheduling done natively in Microsoft Project, but other ones could have in total their entire project planned, scheduled, and tracked within Office 365 Planner. And OneConnect will actually synchronize the relevant data and all the tasks back into Project Online so that without having to do duplicate entry, the users of Office 365 Planner who are managing their maybe lighter weight projects in there will get the status that's put in Office 365 Planner fed automatically into Project Online so the PMO can provide a holistic view of projects that include the Office 365 Planner based projects. So in a unified PPM and Agile solution where we're talking about more Agile types of projects, you know, today in that disconnected set of silos that we talked about earlier on, oftentimes the Agile projects are sitting in completely different tools than the traditional projects. And many of the tools do not have portfolio management capabilities, meaning it's on a project by project basis on the Agile side team or the team by team basis on that side. And in our vision of what we're proposing today is that there's no reason to not have a unified portfolio where you have different programs and projects, and no matter what methodology or tool set that you're using, they can all be feeding the same portfolio for visibility to leadership so they can track at an appropriate level and check out the health of their investments that they've made. The idea is, there's some Agile purists that will say that everything should be done Agile, and there's other folks that resist against the Agile approaches and a more waterfall, governance driven type of approach. And we find that out there, the reality is that there's a need for both in organizations, and we need to find the right balance. We need to find enough governance, visibility, insight, alignment, and control so that leadership has the comfort level that things are executing as planned and to a good degree. But we have to provide enough agility so that the teams that actually have to deliver on these things can innovate, have quicker times to market, and be responsive to change so that we don't lose our competitive edge in the marketplace. So the new Microsoft Project Agile features are pretty interesting. They've added templates within Project Professional in the most recent version of Project Professional 2016 that allows you to model Scrum projects, meaning you can handle things in sprints or iterations, or Kanban style projects where it's all flow-based using more of a card-based approach across a board. And the idea is that some of your projects can use those templates versus traditional waterfall type projects. And the idea, once again, those would feed seamlessly into the portfolio in the Project Center. Now, in all use cases that we're going to talk about today, Project Online is the home or the system of record for all portfolio level information, whether it be program and portfolio management, intake and investment approval, financials and capacity planning all come together in that portfolio management solution. But individual projects or line items within that portfolio can then be managed using different tools and or methods as we see here. And in this next slide, it just shows that you can actually plan out sprint planning and manage via story or task boards right within Project today. Now, with our OneConnect solution, the idea here is many folks have already committed to other Agile-based tools, and in Microsoft shops, a very popular option is Visual Studio or Visual Studio Team Services, which is the cloud version of TFS, Team Foundation Server. In that regard, think about Project Online being the central portfolio, but when you decide not to do more waterfall-based projects or use the basic Agile capabilities within Project, you can leverage the work that you've done in Visual Studio using OneConnect to have the details and the planning and the backlogs and the iterations and the sprints and the task updates come back from Visual Studio on an automated basis so that the portfolio management needs of the organization are met without the users in Visual Studio having to do duplicate entry or do anything unnatural to get that information fed back to Project Online. And we have the exact same use case for JIRA, which is another popular tool that's being used for Agile development and is sometimes light on portfolio management capabilities. Now, even though folks may have some add-ons and things they've done with tools like JIRA for portfolio management, it essentially ends up being only an Agile portfolio when people are rolling up data from that tool. By using OneConnect to put it into Project Online, we're talking about a holistic portfolio that would have all projects regardless of what methodology and tool set that's being used. So it'd be more universal, more holistic. And by doing these approaches, we get a common portfolio management process, meaning a project intake and request process can be exactly the same, regardless of what tool set we intend to use in execution. We can do portfolio analysis across all active and pending or potential projects in our request list so that we can actually look at what the optimum set of projects that we can work on. And we can put that in context of resource capacity, of what capacity we already have committed on our resources and what availability we might have. So as we make commitments and decisions based on finite resources, we can have that all done within a common system, Project Online. And then we also have the opportunity, if we do resource planning in all the different tools, to roll all that up and look at total capacity planning, capacity versus demand, based upon data that's coming from a variety of tools, but all come together and synergize within Project Online. And even time management. We have the capability to report time or actuals in tools like JIRA by using the log work feature or the actual or completed work within Visual Studio and have that automatically populate a Project Online timesheet without the users having to do anything duplicate within the system, saving a lot of time and effort, as well as any manual communication to the PMO or other like organizations to roll up information to leadership. And on top of that, being able to get holistic project intelligence and business intelligence and analytics using combined metrics that have more traditional waterfall, more agile metrics, and have them presented in a form and format that are appropriate for the audience. For example, leadership wants to look at traditional KPIs, for example, and look at financial metrics and other things, where teams might want to look at more traditional agile metrics in those projects, things like burn-ups and burn-downs of velocity charts to track the progress and the status of their projects. The idea is that that's all possible through native feeds to Power BI from Project Online and OneConnect. The other use case that we can talk about is integrated service management or IT management. If we think about the funnel of demand that comes in for work in technical or IT organizations, they can come in from a variety of different angles and they can have a different nature to the types of work. It could be project work, it could be application development or software development work or maintenance. It could be service request types of work. And the idea of having a common funnel, but having them flow through the right channels within a combined unified solution, having reporting available through it all and be able to have visibility to it all through a common mechanism is of great value and saves a lot of manual time and effort to provide that visibility through manual mashing up of data. From an integrated ITSM or IT service management and PPM use case, things that are questions that are being asked that maybe you want to answer is how much time and budget are we spending on strategic versus maintenance activities, project versus operations? Is IT actively engaged in activities that are directly impacting the strategic objectives? Are they directly related to strategic drivers and objectives for the organization? How and where is IT adding value to the business and what return on investment can be expected? And then, tracking in this increment can say what departments or business units are consuming the most IT resources. Again, we make operational improvements, to better or more optimally support the needs of these groups. By not having these as part of the picture, sometimes we can't get that holistic view. And if we use our ServiceNow integration, and this can be done with other ITSM solutions as well, but probably the most common one we run into these days is ServiceNow. And the idea is that in one use case, ServiceNow can be the demand funnel, because a lot of organizations have deployed it. People have it for incident management and requests already. And the idea is we can take project requests that are put in, and they could be ideas, requests, incidents, changes, or even project requests themselves, and they can flow through ServiceNow, and our OneConnect integration will actually create request or requested projects or projects within project as needed, so that you can then take those requests and vet them further, put them through portfolio analysis and optimization, and then ultimately execute and report on those projects in Project Online. So ServiceNow can be the intake funnel as a front end to what's going on in Project Online. That's one use case, and OneConnect makes that seamless update happen. The other option could be all of this happens in Project Online. All of the intake through a request process, all of the portfolio analysis and selection, the identification of project or portfolio items that we're going to work on, and then OneConnect can actually pass work items to the ServiceNow or operational users who get assigned operational tasks, and then they can report or update them from within ServiceNow where they're living and have them seamlessly update the updates or the tasks within Project Online. So one where project is actually the initiation point, but with some of the resources are actually primarily ServiceNow users. So ultimately, you can actually have a similar situation for integrated IT management, where the whole plan, build, run type of concept can be supported, where project management happens on the right traditionally using a variety of different project tools that are available. More build or application development can happen using the more agile tools. And then on the run side, we can have more operational work and service tickets and reports work in the tool of choice that we have for ITSM or service management. Now, to further compound and make this even more elaborate, Microsoft's adoption of Microsoft Teams by organizations is getting more and more prevalent by the day. And if we take these unified work management concepts and put it in the context of Microsoft Teams, it just further unifies the collaboration and communication capabilities we have at the team level. And we can actually integrate and visualize the different data from whether they be Project Online, schedules, etc., Office 365 Planner, Visual Studio, Power BI reports, conversation threads, documents, and other things related to the project can all be brought together very nicely through Microsoft Teams. So that's just another component that's available today. It sounds like there's a lot of options, but when they're working together, they can be very, very powerful. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Matthew Willy, who will demonstrate some of the tool sets that we have and the concepts that we have in action.
Perfect, sounds good, thanks, Jim. All right, so I'm logged in here into Project Online. Project Online is part of the Office 365 stack, and many of the different applications that Jim spoke about are all here and interact together, and we'll see how they can in a few different ways. But what I'm really looking at is my full portfolio of projects. So some projects are still in the requested state, some are approved, some are in progress, and we can see the overall status of it. So it gives me one place to go, one pane of glass, so to say, one version of the truth where all of these projects are, the status of them, regardless of what tool I might be going and executing on for these projects to actually happen, and regardless of where these projects may have came in from. They could have came in from multiple different locations, from tools like, say, ServiceNow or AHA, from people just putting in requests directly into the system, so on and so forth. But it gives me one centralized area to be able to see this. So this is the projects, the status. Around this is the resources, and so we can see, who's available and who's not, and the time and all the different things that Jim talked about. And so how do we do that? How do we achieve that? And so if I select a project here, let's say it's already, came in, we've utilized the portfolio analysis module and or a series of approvals to get it to a place where I'm ready to start doing some more planning on it. And traditionally I could come in and I would just open this up in Microsoft Project Desktop, and I still can, and or I could use the online planner built right into Project Online. But depending on the type of the project and who's running the project, the scale, the scope of the project, how big is it, how small is it, different tools might lend themselves better for that particular project. So for example, maybe I'm just looking for some lightweight task management in a Kanban board. I could select this project here and say I want to open this up in the Office 365 Planner. Instead of building out my Waterfall schedule, I just want to build out a list of some different tasks and then be able to drag and drop them into different buckets, and later on drag and drop them into different statuses. And if I come back to here, you'll see that that's not my only choice. I have things like JIRA, VSTS, so on and so forth. Depending on what integrations you have set up, you can have different choices available here for how you want to go and actually manage and then execute on that particular project. But as you're executing, no matter what tool you choose, that all rolls back up into your portfolio. So we can get those status and cost and resources and time and everything that you might need to give you your full view of what's going on. From there, if we're utilizing multiple different tools to go and do work on a particular project or across projects, then as a person who's working on this team and trying to get this work done for this project, I can actually come into Teams, and I'm in a team right now for my VoIP phones project, and I can have a social stream going on around it. But also in line, I could have my project schedule right out of Project Online here, so that I can come in and get visibility into that, or if I'm the project manager, make updates to my schedule and so on and so forth. All from right within Teams. And be able to make updates. This is actually live working, not even just a view of it, so to say. If we're utilizing things like, say, Power BI for reports, to report off of all this great data, to say do a project status report, I can pull that right into my team using the different connectors that are here and be able to see, okay, here's the current project status report for this particular project across the different tools that we might be using to execute on it. And start to get into all the other pieces of information around schedule, around financials, whatever status report information that I might be trying to access. And so really this gives me one place as a team member working on this project to go to get all the information I need. Some of that information may be managed and updated in multiple different tools. I might have a OneNote notebook that I'm doing. I might have a SharePoint site that has documents in it and I want to pull in those different files. We can really pull that all together into one place. So if I need to access something for this project, this is where I go instead of having to go to lots of different tools. On the back end though, all that data is still coming together into one centralized location. And so we can create some really nice dashboards for management, for portfolio managers, et cetera, so that they can go to one place and just see all the reports and the information they need and consume those in lots of different ways. So I'm now looking at this in Power BI, tapped into the same data set of information of all my projects and my resources and costs and all that. And I can start to do what we call combined dashboards. So this one's an Agile PPM dashboard. So imagine I have, some projects are Agile, some projects are Waterfall. Maybe I'm managing my Agile projects over in an Agile tool, like say VSTS or JIRA. Maybe I'm managing my Waterfall projects in Project Online. But since we're bringing that all together, I can get combined dashboards here. This is a total cost of my portfolio of projects, not just Agile or Waterfall, all of the above together. I can get status across all of these different projects. I can look at resource availability across all my resources that are working on these projects as well as operational work. But on the right side, I can also do more traditional Agile types of metrics like sprint burn-ups, burn-downs, bug trends over time, human flow diagrams of user stories, et cetera, et cetera. And that's just one scenario where I'm bringing together multiple pieces of data from different tools and different processes, different teams even. Here's another one. On the left side, I'm seeing more of my project-related information and timesheet hours and resources. But on the right side, I could also just as easily pull in information from, say, my service management tool. So let's say I'm an IT manager. I'm not only trying to understand how our projects are doing, but how well we are offering our services and what's going on that side of things. So I can see count of requests over time. Is that going up? Is that going down? What's our demand looking like? How many open overdue requests do we have right now? We have 24. Ratings by services, SLA information. Are we tracking to our SLAs and keeping on track? How well are we doing delivering these services to our customers, whether internal or external? And so based off of sets of out-of-the-box reports, we can pin together these different dashboards to get visibility into a unified work management picture of all the different work that's going on in multiple different systems and really bring that together. So how do we do that, though? How do we connect these systems together? Well, as Jim mentioned, we have a tool called OneConnect. And what we're looking at here are some admin pages for OneConnect. And this is how you can actually go in and connect to other tools and make those data connections so the data can flow around in relevant ways to meet the use cases that we've been talking about here. So if I wanted to add a new integration, I simply come in, I say add an integration. Depending on my licensing, I'll have different integration options available. I have a bunch of them available here. I could then pick and choose, what I wanted to connect into, and go through and configure that out. I have some integrations already set up here in this environment, say like this project online to Salesforce one, for example. If I click edit on that, it's just a series of different screens that you're going through to set this up. There's no code that has to be written. It's really, just putting in the right information to be able to make the connections and then configure it from there. So for example, I need to know which project online site we're connecting up to, and I need a username and a password to connect up to it to do that. Over on the Salesforce side, I need a username and some tokens and keys and things that are going to help me to go make that connection. From there, you can put filters in place, so only data goes from one direction, certain data goes from one direction to another, only where item equals approved or where status is equal to active, or whatever you might want to put. So not all data has to flow, just the relevant data that you want. We can schedule that to happen daily, hourly, on an as-needed basis. We can pick and choose, say, like, for example, what fields do we want to map? And if I ever add a new custom field in Project Online, as well as in Salesforce in this case, then I can come in and I can map those things to each other for the different data types there. And, you can even get down to the item level if you choose to do so, of, which items need to be mapped to which other items. So the platform here really lets me set up these integrations initially and configure them, but manage them longer term, and make updates and, make tweaks as needed if now there's this new piece of information we want to start pulling across. We can do that as well right through here, and then monitor the progress of how those things are going and how they're working. So that's more on the back end, how we move the data around, and then on the front end, we can use things like I showed, like Power BI and Teams to really bring those data sets together and into specific places where people can work with them without having, all these different silos and disjointed, systems all separately, trying to manually mush things together either by, dual entry or in Excel spreadsheets or whatever it might be. This takes care of the heavy loading, and automates all of that for you, so you can still get that one picture of everything that's going on. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to Jim for just a few more slides, and then we'll let you guys go for the day. There you go, Jim.
All right, thank you, Matthew. Let me take back the screen. Let me know when you can see.
I can see it.
All right, terrific. Well, let's summarize what we've learned today. We've talked about how we can bring unified work management into reality today with tool sets that are readily available. The value of unified work management is that we can keep users in our organizations working in their primary tools and solutions without having to disrupt them or make them abandon things that they like using. It also allows users to work in tools appropriate for their role in the process and their maturity. So for example, using a full-blown Microsoft project schedule and all its bells and whistles might be a requirement for complex projects, but Office 365 might be just fine for a lighter weight project that's being done in the business. And so the idea is that it allows users to choose the tools that fit best for the task at hand. Hence, it would actually improve adoption by minimizing unnecessary complexity for users that don't need it, and just overall drives better user experience, right? By providing better participation and compliance, because it is a better user experience, and it's not as hard to get people to use the tool sets because they're ones that they've chosen to use. Ultimately, it provides for better collaboration across all areas of the business, across all types of work. The value of integration as a whole, being able to all row in the same direction by having improved portfolio alignment to organizational goals with all work across the organization and our entire holistic portfolio, to be able to consolidate all work and resources into a single view and a single solution, and having the connection to these project tools quickly and reliably have them bring together to mitigate the problems of those silos we talked about earlier on. And also having holistic views of resource availability and efficiency across all work and across all the tool sets being used is something that can be achieved through the OneConnect and integrated solution. Ultimately, it allows us to do better forecasting and provide more realistic expectations and commitments so that we can actually base our commitments based on more full information and a little less guesswork involved. Ultimately, improve governance for planning, executing, and reporting all the way through the life cycle for this integrated solution. So the outcomes: approved alignment for all strategy for all of our work, common intake and approval process, regardless of where it's going to be executed. Optimize with the highest value projects so the organization is working on the right things that achieve the most benefit. More consistent approaches in execution, feeding from the portfolio level down through execution, then from execution back up to the portfolio, providing more centralized visibility but with decentralized contribution from disparate users using multiple tools. Streamlining the collaboration across roles with the individual tool sets, having them connected, and even using things like Microsoft Teams to bring that together even further. And then comprehensive reporting across it all through Power BI and the feeds and some of the reports that we've developed here at Wickersoft. Ultimately, there's less manual effort pulling this data together, and more automation is going to free us up to do more high-value things than data crunching. So if you're interested, we are Wickersoft. We're a global company. We're a joint venture with Microsoft that was founded in 2002. Microsoft is part owner of our company. We have a global footprint and a lot of locations here in North America, and we provide all the consulting, business applications, managed services, and staffing that people might want. We're triple gold certified, and those gold certifications are in project and portfolio management, collaboration and content, and cloud productivity within Microsoft. Think of us as a one-stop shop, whether it be the applications and the technology that we add with things like OneConnect, the consulting services to help you get the most out of your investment in the Microsoft technologies. We provide education and training to help you successfully deploy and get adoption within your organization. And we also have an arm of our company that does staffing services and even offers managed services. We have customers that we actually run these systems for them as a managed service. And the idea is that we can help you regardless of what your situation might be. We do this across the Office 365 and Microsoft Cloud. So we focus today a little bit on project and project portfolio management on the left in that pillar, but the Agile portfolio management and Visual Studio we can help people with, digital workplace solutions within SharePoint, and even work management concepts in Dynamics 365 from Microsoft with professional services automation and field service management are also use cases that fit into this mix. Some of the technology or IP that we bring to the table as Wickersoft is pre-configured solutions that actually help people get up quickly with less consulting effort and a quicker time to solution. So pre-configured solutions that have a lot of the capabilities we talked about today is something with our 1 PPM that allows us to get this up quickly for organizations within Project Online in a more of a kickstart type of approach. And then from the reporting perspective, you don't have to build this all from scratch. Our One Analytics has a robust set of reporting that brings together the data from the Agile and the more traditional Waterfall types of approaches and brings them together in a report pack set that has 40+ reports out of the box that you can start with and then tailor them later for what your nuances are for your organization. So think about these things as value adds that Wickersoft brings to the table. So from a next step perspective, please feel free to contact us at contact@wickersoft.com. You're also going to get the copy of these slides, and Matthew and my email addresses are on that cover slide. So reach out to us in whatever avenue makes the most sense for you. But we can offer you at no charge a free assessment and roadmap of what it might take to get you from where you're at today in your current situation into some of these solutions and capabilities. We can also offer you a Project Online trial with free Wickersoft chaperoned support, meaning to get you up with a trial environment, orient you on the best use of it, and then do some chaperoning or checking in to answer your questions and gather your feedback along the way so you get the most value out of your trial. We did give a high-level generalized demo today. If you want to drill into any one of the use cases we talked about, we are happy to schedule a personalized one-on-one demo to drill in on your specific use case or use cases. We have a lot of website type of resources. us.wickersoft.com is our main website. We also have another site or subsite for project-online.com with more Project Online specific information. And the OneConnect pieces can be found at wickersoft.com/projectconnect. We do these webinars on a weekly basis, and we have a rich library of pre-recorded ones that are available at uswickersoft.com/webinars, and any of the upcoming webinars you might want to register for can also be found there. So with that, I'd like to thank you for the time spent today. Hopefully we can connect with you individually after the fact and address some real needs that you have in your organization. There's some powerful capabilities that are available today. There's no need to wait for the future, nor customize the integrations that you have in the past. Unified work management is a reality here today. Thank you and have a great day.